Good Friday has been a near constant since COVID-19 hit. Each day of each lockdown has been a station or set of stations. And now, though symptoms have lessened, transmission has escalated. Many of us are still cautious and nervous. The war in Ukraine has shocked and continues to horrify everyone. Recent killings in our own country, some seemingly homophobic, are unsettling. Whatever your particular circumstances, I invite you to walk with me in meditation on the last hours of the earthly Jesus, knowing that this is the rhythm repeated, reenacted, day by day. Allow your mind to wander, to find yourself in the story, and to find the story in you. We die and rise, live with and contract a contagious virus, know the violence in our world, suffer pain and setbacks, meet opposition and oppression. We love and lose, hope and cope, trust and pray. The first station, Jesus is condemned to death. When and why did he see it coming? Are we involved, or is it mere history? Surely God didn't set him up. Does this only concern the last day of Jesus' earthly life? Or was it somehow an integral part of his life from day one? His execution was no accident, but a consequence of his commitment to speak for and side with the silent, sick, poor, outcasts, opposing the corruption of the status quo. Good Friday fills me with questions and only impressions of emerging answers. Conceived by God and born to a virgin mother, we're told, ending up a criminal given the death sentence. From one extreme to the other. Perhaps that's the point. Jesus covers, encapsulates the whole spectrum, all of creation. He doesn't go alone. He brings us all with him. For he and us to return again, transformed, enlivened utterly anew. Imagine you're there at the trial. All eyes on Pontius Pilate. Legal limbo, polished tone. Hushed tension as those religious and political leaders, unnerved by the calm, simple living, straight talking Nazarene, calling them out for years on their shaky systems, hoping the establishment will pull the trigger and protecting itself against a noisy nobody. The supporters of Jesus, the underdogs, holding their breaths, praying, wishing for a miracle, another one, this time for his own sake. Guilty verdict denounced, sentence of cruel crucifixion handed down, no mitigating circumstances accepted. Shock.
We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you.
Second station, Jesus is made to carry his cross. Not unlike school children of old, ordered to cut a stick to beat themselves, Jesus must carry the heavy instrument of his own torture and execution. We have often reduced the cross to mere metaphor, jewellery even. For Jesus and his contemporaries condemned to a similar death, it was back-breaking, and for many, I'm sure, soul-destroying. For a pacifist and peace-promoting person, to be an active agent in his own torturous and terminal punishment must have been deeply demeaning. The reality of the sentence itself must have weighed heavily, not to mention bearing the physical burden of the cross. Heaving his cross up Calvary before hanging on it was the culmination of a career of caring and campaigning on behalf of God for the fringe players. His whole adult public life, he entered into their abandonment and annihilation. He sat, listened, taught, fed, healed, helped, and advocated for all. He couldn't cut out anyone, even now.
We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you, because by your holy cross you have redeemed the world.
Third station, Jesus falls the first time. Too much. His knees buckle. Down he goes, timber on top of him, hitting the ground with a thud. Shock. No longer free to roam and reflect, sharing his profound earthly insights with all who would gather and listen. From treading lightly, he now is heavily weighted. His past catches up with him, a past of casting off the shackles of patriarchy and conformity, injustice and oppression. Class and rank never encumbered him. Now he's cornered, double-crossed. His cross as well as ours, symbolically. He's carrying you and I, if not on his back, in his heart.
We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you.
Fourth station, Jesus meets his mother. Mother Mary, how could she be? Her one and only pride and joy. Now this. Heartbroken for sure. She must have suffered for years. The crowd tried to kill him before, but he slipped away. He courted controversy, not deliberately, but he just spoke as he saw things. She never thought it would come to this, surely. once a mother, always a mother. He's still her son. She hurts with him. What can she say now to him? Only walk with him every step of the way to the end. How must Jesus have felt? Embarrassed and apologetic for causing such deep anguish, sadness, and sorrow to Mary. What empathy and emotion must have emanated from one to the other.
We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you.
The fifth station, Simon of Cyrene is made to bear the cross. Humbling to accept help, and on occasion humiliating. Neither a bodybuilder nor weightlifter, Jesus was stretched to his physical limits. It can be hard to carry a heavy load with someone, to keep in sync, especially on hilly and rough ground. Each sudden twist and uneven step sharpening the pain on shoulder or back. If it is true that Jesus somehow brings us with him by virtue of being Son of Man, and thereby representing everyone, past, present, and future, are we somehow also co-carrying the cross with him? Devotionally and imaginatively, we can put ourselves under the historical cross. But does the cross somehow find its way to us? Which one of us does not in some way, either secretly or in full view, carry the cross of Christ? Pain, loneliness, poverty, fear, insecurity, anxiety, depression, illness, all the cross. It's not one-way traffic though. Christ co-carries our cross too. We're not alone in bearing our burdens.
We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you.
Sixth station, Veronica wipes Jesus' face. No surprise not to see Peter or John or other male companions, friends, followers. But Veronica, step up to the plate and tenderly take his hurting head and face into her outstretched, towelled hands. Such empathetic ease and agility with awful agony. Touching, comforting, holding, helping, loving. She had the courage to step out of the crowd. A moment of relief for Jesus, able to accept care. touch so necessary, especially in our hour of greatest need.
We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you.
The seventh station, Jesus falls the second time. Oh no, fear as he fell this time. Seconds of panic, he knew what was coming. Unable to save himself by maneuvering slightly to left or right, helplessly hammered against the ground, sandwiched by unflinching rock and dead-weight wooden cross. Stamina ebbing away. Can I ever get up? How much more?
We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you.
Eighth station. The women of Jerusalem weep over Jesus. Women. What is it about women? Able to go where many men can't. Often much stronger emotionally and intuitively, and more able to fully enter into such distressing and heart-rending situations. Many men tend to stand or stay away out of fear, feeling awkward, wringing hands, holding it in, waiting for it to pass, watching from a distance, paralyzed. But women can wade right in often, expressing emotion and insight, encompassing the enormity of the situation.
We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you.
Ninth station. Jesus falls the third time. Weight of the world on him. No wonder he goes to ground. Harder this time. Utter weakness. Limbs like jelly. Falling before he ever falls. Trembling legs struggling for some time. Bones hit the deck. No fresh, strong muscle mass to protect. All eyes on him, the fallen hero. Such ignominy. Those who hung on his every word, now backing off in disbelief, wondering. Silence, except for grunts and groans. A come down. Some ponder, think of their own trips and slips. Feel an empathy with Jesus collapsed on the hill. Rock bottom is a hard place to be.
We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you.
The 10th station, Jesus is stripped of his garments. Some turn their eyes away. They can't see him like this, deprived of decorum, his whole humanity for all to see, privates made public, skin shattered on shoulders, arms, hands and back from rugged wooden crossbeam. Face emaciated, contorted by pain and suffering. Feet blistered and badly bruised. Legs battered and bloodied from falls. Exhausted. But yet Jesus is calm, conveying a quiet inner dignity. Somehow we were there too, captured or captivated by his raw humanity, connected. He is also with us when circumstances strip us, pare us back to bare basics.
We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you.
The 11th station, Jesus is nailed to the cross. To be free mostly means to move. Nails put pay to that, plus plenty of pain. Barely wriggle room. Hard to keep conscious when in such physical and psychic pain. Easy to pass out, dehydrated, vinegar a dour nightcap, hauled upright but unable to stand, gravity pulling everything down against the nails. Agony, so helpless. To support ourselves, to stay upright, the obvious sign of independence. That, too, taken away. Powerless. Free only to think, feel, and breathe.
We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you.
Twelfth station, Jesus dies on the cross. mocked, jeered at in his last moments. Self-confidence must take a battering. But he steadied himself, forgiving to the finish, even to his nailers and naysayers, critics and condemners. Though he felt abandoned and cried out, it was to God he cried. At his crushingly most low, dark, cruel and bewildering point, he articulated the universal question, calling out urgently, "Why?" Then he gave a loud cry and breathed his last. He held every citizen of our common home close to his heart as he entered the abyss on Calvary, bringing all, past, present and future, to a final fulfillment of God's kingdom of peace and love, joy and justice. All cruel condemnations, from horrific death penalties and unjustly ended pregnancies, to all exclusion on the basis of race, gender, orientation, religion, class, all have been transformed in Jesus and in embryo for everyone. The eternal equality and equilibrium has begun. Jesus, a foretaste and foretelling of what will be for all. When at our lowest ebb, we're on the cusp of an Easter breakthrough brought about by Jesus in the spirit of the Father's love.
We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you.
Thirteenth station, Jesus is taken down from the cross. All warmth and colour drained, stiffening, a body now bereft of life, a body that had always been faithful and responsive, enduring, emptying to the end. A body that ebbed and flowed with love, giving and receiving. Unlike earlier when cruelly fixed to the cross and hoisted up, now tenderly taken down by Joseph of Arimathea. Pilate, incredulous that Jesus had died so quickly, checked it out and released the body. Perhaps because he surrendered so serenely and completely, not fighting it, but freely facing his worst fears and most difficult feelings, finding faith even in disbelief at the death. Bookended, backed up by two Josephs. First the father figure from the beginning, now the follower, believer in Jesus' project or mission, will take care of his remains.
We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you.
14th station. Jesus is placed in the sepulchre. Joseph, undoing the public stripping, clothed the body in a shroud and laid it in a tomb hewn out of the rock. He then rolled a stone against the entrance of the tomb for security, literally between a rock and a hard place. Jesus journeyed to every grave, to the end or low point of the world, to transform, transfigure, and resurrect above and below and all in between. Mary of Magdala and Mary, the mother of Joseph, were watching and took note of where the body was laid. Joining from a distance, we too keep alive Jesus' memory. We inspire by his words, buoy up by his overcoming, and witness to his presence ever new.
We adore you, O Christ, and we praise you.
By focusing on Jesus' final few hours, his agony and acceptance, we are sustained as we suffer. Backs to the wall, we mine hitherto unknown depths in ourselves, ever surprised at new-found strength to somehow cope, come what may. Christ crucified and risen. Could I just say, before Claire comes in with the final piece of music, we'll have the celebration of the Lord's Passion this afternoon here at 3 o'clock. And the collection box will still be there for the holy places. And then we'll have the Easter Vigil here tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Thank you. Thanks, Claire.